today I am making an Irish soda bread. So here's going to be your ingredients. And I like to use this flour because it's unbleached and it's healthier for you. It's not processed or bleached or anything like that. So you're going to use 4 cups of flour, 1 1/4 cup of buttermilk, 4 tablespoons of organic sugar, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Okay, and then you're going to use a 1/2 teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt. Do not use cheap table salt. I would use pink salt or Celtic salt, a mineral salt, a healthy salt. And use a 1/2 cup of softened butter or 1 stick. I like to use the Kerrygold Pure Irish butter, and I use the salted one. And 1 egg. Those are your ingredients. So right now I'm going to put in all of my dry ingredients. I'll be right back. So in here I have all of my dry ingredients. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a good mix and blend it all together so that it's evenly distributed in the flour. And then I'm going to add my wet ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and add the buttermilk and the egg. And it's just a regular size egg. I'll be right back. And I'm adding the butter as well. Now, guys, whenever you put your butter, make sure you leave it out at room temperature so it's soft, so it's softened, so that it blends well whenever you go to mix it. And you're going to cut it into little slices to put it in. Okay, so now you're going to use a hand mixer or whatever mixer you have to combine the butter and all the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. And I will be right back. Okay, at this point you're going to, once you mix it, it's not fully mixed or blended. It does get messy with the hand blender, so be careful. And you have to scrape it off. So once you're done with that, you're going to get your hands in there and you're going to squeeze it all together until it's kind of like Play-Doh. And then we're going to put it on the counter, clean your surface, and put some flour down and shape it into a ball. And then you're going to put it on the pan. Again, I said preheat your oven to 375. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this. I'll be right back. So now it's all blended together. And this is how it should look. And you're going to keep on kneading it just a little bit. And notice I put my flour on my counter so that it doesn't stick. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to knead it into a ball. And once you knead it into that ball, you can kind of flatten it a little bit. My husband loves this one. I normally, when I make an Irish dish for him, I make an artesian rosemary bread, but he loves this Irish soda bread. So I am making this especially for him. It's buttery. It's almost like a humongous biscuit consistency. And then what you're going to do next, it doesn't have to look perfect, guys. You're going to just put a little cross into it, cut across. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then you're going to put it on a parchment paper lined pan. Okay, then you're going to clean your mess, and you're going to bake it for, let's see what my recipe says. Cut an X in the dough. And what the X does is it helps it cook through and through. Okay, so you're going to add the dough to the oven for 15 minutes. And you're going to make a glaze with butter and buttermilk. No exact amount, just a little bit in the pan, warm it up, because you're going to glaze this after 15 minutes, okay? And then you're going to let it cook for another 15 minutes. You're going to glaze it again, and then you're going to let it continue to cook. So I will tell you at the end the total amount of time that I spent cooking. Okay, so for your glaze, you can go ahead and prepare it while you're waiting on the bread for the first 15 minutes. And put about a half a cup of buttermilk in your pan. And about half of the rest of your stick of butter. And just save the rest for the cold cannon that I'm going to make later. Okay, and go ahead and heat it up and get it ready so that you can baste the top of your bread whenever it comes out in 15 minutes. Now guys, you're going to want to get you a piece of paper and write down each 15 minute that you glaze it, because you do it in steps, and you're going to mark off each time you do your 15-minute glaze so you don't get confused, because it's a lot. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, and then an extra 10 minutes if it's not cooked. Now guys, while it's cooking, your buttermilk may curd up a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. Ow, it's too hot. Anyway, this is normal for the buttermilk because the buttermilk was cold, so it'll make like little curds in there, but they'll melt down as you melt it. And then you're going to just let it sit once it's fully melted and heated. Don't let it burn. And then we're going to start basting. So my 15 minutes is up, and I'm going to baste it for the first time. Just make sure you evenly coat it all over. Now, if you have to make more butter and buttermilk, you can do that. Okay, you're going to put it back in the oven for your next 15 minutes. Guys, I'm not going to film it every time I pull it out to baste it every 15 minutes. And remember to keep track of your 15 minutes and mark it off. And at the end with the toothpick, I'll pull it out and show you that and see if it's done or not. Okay, guys, I'm not thinking straight. But anyway, you're going to put it in for 15 minutes. I apologize for this. 1, 2, 3 times. Okay, so that's 45 minutes total cook time. And then you're going to check it with your toothpick. And then you're going to glaze it one more time and just let it sit for the 20 minutes. I'm fixing to pull it out. Okay, so here is the last 15 minutes. So it's been in there for 45 minutes. Okay, we're going to check it. And it is done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to baste it one last time and stick it in there for about 5 more minutes. And that's going to be it for this bread, this Irish soda bread. And I guess they call it soda bread because it's made with baking soda. I don't know why they gave it this name. I didn't research it. I normally like to research stuff like that, especially about foods from different areas and different countries. But I didn't. I should know this cooking this before. So I'm just going to stick it in there for another probably 5 minutes. And it's okay, done. Guys. So after 45 minutes and then an extra 5 minutes, your Irish soda bread is done. And it is delicious. It tastes like biscuit, and it's really delicious, and it goes well with your Irish meal. So go ahead and make you some. And I'm sorry about the confusion about the 15 minutes. I just wasn't thinking. Y'all enjoy, and if you make it, tag me in it. Okay, so now I'm moving on to the corned beef brisket. I'm going to bake it in my Dutch oven, and I'm going to add carrots. And I always wash my vegetables. I use Premier pH Minerals. I let all of my vegetables soak for about 20-30 minutes in water with a little bit of this in it. I put about a teaspoon. And then I use like a potato brush, and I just brush it off and I rinse it well. That's how I do all of my fruits and vegetables, so that I can preserve and eat the skins, because those are nutritious. And then I'm going to cut an onion and add that in there with it. And I'm going to bake it just either 3 to 4 hours. I'm going to follow the instructions on here. And then I'm going to do my own thing at the end, and I will show you how I do that. Okay, so I placed my corned beef in the pan with a little bit of oil, avocado oil at the bottom, a cup of water. I poured it around the edges, and my carrots and onions, and then your seasoning packet comes with it, with your corned beef. And do not add salt, guys, because they make a brine and they marinate it in the brine with salt and water, so it's already salty. And what you do is you're going to cover it. Any dish you're going to use, you're going to want to make sure that it's sealed and covered properly while you bake it. These directions call for 300 for anywhere for 3 to 4 hours. Okay, this is about a 3-pound corned beef, so we'll see until it gets tender, and then I'll do the next step. Okay, here I am preparing to make my cold cannon potatoes. I'm not going to give you the recipe for that one. That one's going to be in my cookbook, but I will show you what it looks like whenever it's done. And my corned beef is done. I'm going to take it out, put it in a pan, and I'm going to bake it for a few minutes so the top can get a little crispier. Okay, guys, here is the finished product of my cold cannon. And what it is you get your cabbage cooked and you add it into your mashed potatoes. And then there's other things in there that you add. You can probably find this recipe online, but this is my recipe, and I make it just a little bit different, and I add a little bit different things than what you would normally see on recipes online for cold cannon. Okay, so now I'm going to put the corned beef in the oven and bake it for probably about 10 minutes just to get the fat crisp. My husband likes it. I cut it off. But anyway, and it'll be done. Voila, here's our Irish meal.